welcome back to the show. I hope you're having a great Saturday morning. Thank you for joining us once again. And well, we already started with a little Hugo Boss, Alex Thomson action, and I think we have something to discuss actually about Alex today. After our first topic, of course, the Jules Verne. But before we get into that, let's start with, of course, something delicious in the cup. And like last week, I have some delicious Lagaranta coffee. And last week they weren't a sponsor. This week they're still not officially a sponsor, but we are talking. So with a little luck, I think maybe next week Lagaranta will actually be kind of our official coffee sponsor for Seawolf. So if that actually happens, I'll definitely be telling you more about this really truly great amazing coffee next week. But I guess we will see. So here we go. And actually before, because of course I worked on a really nice toast for us for this particular Saturday morning, and someone asked in the comments last week if actually we could see IDEX Sport in action, because you know, in the Jules Verne I'm often showing, you know, fantastic new images of Gitana or Sydbey or now Sails of Change, for example, but actually on the show we've never showed IDEX Sport, the actual record holder, in action. So for this particular toast, let's relax to that. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Sydey, on a 39 ans, un peu plus.
Wow, if that doesn't wake you up on this Saturday morning, then I don't know what will. That was an incredibly fast ride. And let's dive right into the Trophee Jules Verne. So right now, Sails of Change is still waiting on standby, and currently, at least for the next 2 weeks, so it's actually 10 to 12 days or so that they can accurately forecast these larger systems, more or less doesn't have the accuracy of a normal 3-day prediction, but to some degree, like enough for them to make a run. But right now it looks at least in the next 12 days or so there is no window, so they're code red right now. If they think there's a run, they'll go back to code yellow or code green again if they think they have an actual launch window. But so far nothing. But I thought, since I went into the details last week a little bit over the entire ride, over the entire record attempt, and kind of where the holes in the record are, where there is still maybe some room to improve on the record for the new challengers, I thought it would be nice to actually look at really the first part just a little bit more in detail to show what metrics it really are that the team is looking for. So if you hop into the screen here with me, you will see that if we look at this beautiful globe here provided by Meteo Earth, that so more or less here is where we have the start, of course. And so the first part of the course, which is basically from here to the equator, and the equator, of course, famous for the doldrums, so that goes a little bit beyond this show. But basically we have two weather systems, one on the upper side of the globe, one on the underside, on the top and bottom hemisphere. And these two weather systems are kind of turning into each other, so they're kind of counterclockwise moving into each other, and in between those two weather systems there is a band of, well, let's call it non-weather, we call them the doldrums, that are really the separation zones between those two systems. And those two particular, that band that kind of goes all around the world is famous for having a kind of thunderstorms and lots of rain on the edges of it, and more or less sometimes no wind at all, just no air movement much at all. And so we call that the doldrums. And here in the Atlantic Ocean, so kind of the separation between the northern Atlantic and the southern Atlantic, we have this area called the doldrums where often whenever we have round the world attempts, boats kind of tend to get stuck there, or have some trouble moving through there, where they're going to be becalmed for at least a day or two on their way through there. You can get a little bit more lucky or a little bit less lucky with that, but in general it's always a challenge. And so the first part is what they have to do in order to break the record is they have to get to the equator, so to the heart of the doldrums, let's say, within 5 days. So the first part of the prediction is to get from the start, which would be in Ushant or Brest, to take a maximum of 5 days to get actually to, let's say, the heart of the doldrums, or to the doldrums in general. So that's part one of the prediction that has to be good, right? Then we have this system downstairs here, which we call kind of the Helena High. So I have here on the globe, I have the kind of the pressure areas on, and so you can kind of see this system here, which is the Helena High, which is a high pressure system, which is basically an area where there's kind of, well, think of it as more air, so there's like an excess of air compared to the rest of the world. The air layer around the world is kind of like a sea with waves, so some parts are higher and lower, and whenever the wave is kind of up, that creates high pressure, and so the water, or in this case the air, tries to flow away from that area, and it does that in a circle, so it kind of radiates out. And so this particular pressure system, it's always there. Sometimes it moves up a little bit, sometimes it moves a bit down, but it's one of the permanent weather features, let's say, of the Earth, that there's always more or less an active high pressure system there. It's just a matter of kind of how we're sitting in space, I guess. And so that particular system tends to throw off a lot of low pressure systems right underneath it that travel around Antarctica. So if we look here, we can kind of see you see this kind of these blue circles, and so those are low pressure systems. And if we actually animate this a little bit, you can see that they kind of slowly but certainly moving around the globe. If we actually switch to another program, to Vendee here, for example, you can really see this zone. If I animate this a little bit here, you can see this, the circles here kind of slowly moving, from west to the east. And so the goal for them is in the days after those first 5 days getting into the equator here, getting into the doldrums, then they have 2.5 days to get further down and reach the top of, you know, some system around that Helena High. So they have to go here beyond Brazil, get further down, and then somewhere here in this area pick up either the front end or the tail end of one of these systems, particularly one of the front end, so they can, you know, move with that together. And so that's the first real complication, where looking at the forecast, so kind of what they're doing right now while they're waiting on standby, is to say, well, first of all, can we get to the doldrums with this weather forecast? Can we get through that area in the first 5 to 6 days? Like, can we get there and get through it? And second, then in the 2 days after, do we see a realistic prospect once we get there to actually make our way down to the Helena High and pick up one of these low pressures that's kind of moving around the world, which is going to be our engine to actually propel us through the southern and then towards the Indian Ocean and around the world. And so that's the prediction that we're waiting for right now. Now, I won't dive into that more deeply here, but just so you kind of understand the anatomy of it. Sails of Chains has, for now, at least till the 15th of January, you know, for the team to be on standby. So, you know, all the agendas, the whole team is there and they're ready at least to wait till the 15th of January. So there's still plenty of chances right now. And, you know, maybe then they'll still go longer. Many of the original record attempts were kind of mid towards the end of January. So no worries, I think the attempt is still coming, and let's just hope for the best with the weather.
Et ouais, ça secoue pas mal là, depuis 2-3 jours. La mer elle change régulièrement. Du coup, faut s'adapter les réglages. Des fois, on doit ralentir un peu parce que sinon, on engage trop le bateau dans les vagues. Donc, c'est assez sport.
That is amazing coffee. Okay, so before we get to the next segment, actually talking about Alex Thomson and his semi-retirement or pause from the IMOCA racing, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Tim and Simon on board of Minecraft. They're currently in the Atlantic Rowing Challenge, and of course, you know, good luck to all the rowers there. But I guess Tim and Simon have some Seawolf fans who asked me in the comments on the last show to give them a shout out. So good luck, of course, to all you Seawolves rowing across the Atlantic. Really crazy. I never really want to do that myself. That requires another level of bravery, I guess, and love of hardship. But really amazing that you guys are doing it. So Tim and Simon, good luck out there. Then that brings us to Alex Thomson. And so there wasn't really a lot of hoopla made about this. But in the end of October, Alex actually officially announced in a news bulletin, I guess a blog on his Hugo Boss website, that he would be stepping back from racing and that he wouldn't be returning in the Vendee Globe 2024, at least as a skipper. And at the time, of course, I wasn't making Seawolf videos in that particular moment, so I didn't really comment on it, and actually almost nobody commented on it. It kind of went by more or less silently. So I wanted to take a moment here to actually give it some attention, because to my mind, Alex was really a very you know, special person within the IMOCA circuit, and especially the Vendee Globe race. I think with his with the amazing media attention, of course, you know, with his second place in the previous Vendee Globe race on board his previous Hugo Boss, and the fact that he did that, you know, with the broken foil and kind of the heroism within that race, and his subsequent you know, building of the new really futuristic amazing Hugo Boss ship, the launch of that, and all the kind of, you know, legend around there, and the amazing a start that he had battling Jean Le Cam, of course, you know, really brought the status of the race to a sort of legendary level. And that had a lot to do, I guess, with him and Jean Le Cam really being kind of head and shoulders kind of legendary above the rest of the pack, at least in the start of the previous race. And me personally, and I know that several other vloggers also experienced this, when Alex actually had well, found out that he had some structural problems on board.
I was checking around the boat and I found a problem in the bow, a structural problem, and it's fairly significant. and I will attempt to show you the repair now. It involves going through that tiny little hole which I hardly fit through. So I'll take you in there, show you the repair quickly, or show you what I'm going to have to repair. Okay, so we're going through the hole. So you can see now that, that this central longitudinal is broken in several places. It's broken, you can see it cracked here. In fact, it's this taping's off the hull there. This cap is broken here. It's not attached anymore, cracked across here. But that's not it. When we turn around, unfortunately, it's also broken. You can see it's broken here, the cap is broken here, it's broken all the way through here. It's also busted there, it's cracking here. Further up, we can see it's broken through here. So the good news is that we carry so much materials on board to fix this kind of thing, from C-plate, solid carbon, panels, and even girders. So we've got plenty of material to be able to fix it. The other good news is I'm not in the Southern Ocean. I'm in the middle of the St. Helena High, so I've got really good conditions to
Eventually,
be able to
after
do the job.
first trying to repair, had to retire from the race. That week, the viewership for the Vendee Globe actually was kind of cut in half. So for like a week and a half, I personally saw it. I know that there are several other vlogs that saw the same effect. The viewership for the actual Vendee Globe race really dropped almost in half. Really quite clearly, I mean, it could have been that my videos got a lot worse that week, but it quite clearly indicated that a lot of people, maybe up to about maybe 40 to almost maybe 50% of people who were watching at least this show and looking at the Vendee Globe were also really following Alex, were really big Alex fans. And when he quit the race, they were pissed off. I was pissed off and really disappointed, and maybe for a week or so felt a little bit like, I'm not even going to watch the rest of the race. Fortunately, most of you came back a week later realizing that of course you love this race and of course you want to see all those other heroes get at it. I guess for the Brits, Pip Hare was still in the race and of course put down an amazing result. So it all went well in the end. But I think it was still very significant, and with his stunt, with the infamous mast walk and the infamous air walk, I think they called it, when he used the kite board to kind of jump over the ship. All these things that he did really spoke to the imagination and really brought a lot of people into the Amaka racing appreciation fan group, let's say, and into the Vendee Globe especially. So just wanted to take a moment and remember an amazing Vendee Globe career. And of course, it's not really over. He's clearly stated that for the team, the ultimate goal was always to be the first team, British team, to win the Vendee Globe, and that still hasn't happened. So he is no doubt going to be working super hard to continue to make that happen, although maybe with a different skipper, or maybe he's hinted that he might return in 2028. And I do really get it, right? I mean, he's been at this for so long. He's put so much of his life in it. He has a young family. I know from my own experience in solo sailing, or when I told my wife that I was going to be doing a leg in the Volvo Ocean race, that even though it's what you want to do and what you kind of dream of, for somebody staying behind who loves you, whether I'm going on a solo sailing vacation, or if Alex is doing the Vendee Globe, or if somebody's going on a Volvo Ocean race, there's always that conversation where your partner knows that you're going to be in some way risking your life, and you're going to be out there all alone, or in case of the Volvo with a team. But still, people have lost their lives in this race. In the last Vendee Globe we saw with Kevin Escoffier, of course, ultimately, fortunately, being rescued by Jean Le Cam, but with the boat broken in half around Cape Good Hope. Really serious problems, and a really dangerous situation where he could have lost his life. So this is serious stuff, and I totally understand Alex's choice to say at this moment. I think also he quite publicly said that he promised his wife that it would be the last time. So I get that he wants to focus more on his family, maybe provide also the chances for his partner to work on her goals and be more a support there. So every respect for Alex stepping back, and I just thought it the right thing to take a minute and salute a great guy who did a lot for the sport, and no doubt will continue to do lots more for the sport in the future. So thank you also from me to you, Alex, for that.
Getting out of Cape Town safely, and there I'll officially retire from the race. And the last thing I need to say is to say thank you to everybody who supported me. To my team, thank you for your dedication and your hard work. I know you couldn't have done more. But thank you also to our partners. You've worked tirelessly with us, and you've shown such dedication, such loyalty, and I can't thank you enough. I couldn't quite make history this time round, but I can tell you I gave it everything I got.
Récupérer les écoutes de J2, parce que là il est à 15 nœuds, 3,50.
What an amazing ship. The design still blows my mind every time I look at it. It's so cool. So that brings us to the next segment, which is about the Vendee Globe actually. Also, in the sense that I thought it would be good for you guys, the viewers, also to know what we're going to be working on, what we're going to be reporting in the next year or so, because they really kind of tie together, and that is what it actually takes to race the Vendee Globe. Like, what are kind of the demands that you have to follow and qualify for in order to actually be able to start in the Vendee Globe race. So I thought it would be kind of cool to look at that for a minute, because the race organization actually quite recently, about 4 weeks ago, released the official notice of race. So those are kind of the real qualifications that you need to follow in order to participate. And so the first most obvious thing that you have to qualify for, of course, is that you have to have your own EMOCA. Whether you own it or rent it doesn't really matter, but you have to choose a ship, and in order to qualify for the EMOCA class itself, you have to go through the different tests, like the halfway test when the boat has to fall back, and the righting test where they take the mast off the boat and actually have to put the boat upside down and use just the keel to prove that it will right itself again. And there are several other qualifications that are just pure technical specs of the boat, in order, of course, for the boat to be able to enter the EMOCA class and participate in any of the races. Once that is done, there are actually only a few real qualifications to be able to enter in the Vendee Globe. The first, of course, is that you have to do all these qualifying races in the boat that you're going to be using for the Vendee Globe, so that's important. And after that, really the only thing that matters is that you at least start 2 of the qualifying solo races in the Globe Series Championship. And so the races for that, so the circuit of races for the EMOCA class until 2024, I have it actually here on the screen so you guys can watch with me, is that we had this year, of course, the Transalp Shop Vabra, which has already been raced, but next year, and that automatically gives you guys the races that we are going to be covering, at least in the EMOCA segment of the show, is the Bermuda's 1000 race. That's a solo race, the Vendee Arctique. So that's going to be something that I'm going to be really looking for, because that is one of those qualifying races that you have to do 2 of and finish at least 1 of. And then we have the Defi Azimuth. So again, that's not a qualifying race, but it is an EMOCA race. And we have the Route de Rhum, which again is a qualifying race. And then we have the Crude Ocean race, which isn't a qualifier. But so if you wanted to qualify for the Vendee Globe, at least in the next year, in 2022, we have still several years to go until 2024, of course, but you could qualify yourself for the 2024 race just in the next year by participating in those two races, so the Vendee Arctique and the Route du Rhum. If you start in both of those and finish at least one of them, that would mean that you're qualified in your EMACA, and kind of the same goes for 2023. So then there's only one qualifying race, would be the return to the Trans-Jacques Vabre solo. And in 2024, which is kind of like the last minute option, let's say, so all of the boats that, you know, maybe get their team together in 2023 and kind of last minute still want to be able to participate in the Vendee Globe will in 2024 still have that option to have two races. So that will be the Trans-Atlantic and the New York Vendee to Les Sables d'Eslon, so where they're sailing basically from New York back to Les Sables, which are also two races that you can do as a qualifying to secure your entry into the 2024 Vendee Globe solo around the world race. And so that at least gives you guys part of the calendar that we as Seawolves are going to be following along with. And with that, we're almost at the end of the show today, but I have some really cool news for next week. So next week's show is going to be on next Saturday, as always, which is actually Christmas morning. So looking forward to have coffee with all of you on Christmas morning. That's going to be a lot of fun. And in that particular show, I'm going to be talking to one of the leaders of the Seawolf VR team, because I've been almost completely uninvolved with this from the start. But when we started Seawolves, we also started a virtual racing team, and this team has really grown. So it's actually two teams now of both 50 persons strong. So we have a 100-man VR team actually with the Seawolves now, and doing really well with some professional coaching in there. There's a Discord that you can join. So there's a lot going on in there. And they just announced that for the Sydney Hobart, there is going to be a virtual race also. So in next week's episode, I'm going to be talking to one of the leaders of our VR team about doing actually the VR race there. Now, I don't know if I will have the time, but I'm going to see if I also personally will be able to make the time to actually seriously do the VR race, because in the longer race I just personally don't have the time to do that. But since the Sydney Hobart is a bit, shorter, we're taking about a week and a half probably, so that I can probably manage. So if you'd like to race me actually personally in the VR race, that should be a lot of fun, of course, alongside the enormous Seawolf team. That should be a lot of fun. So if you're curious on how to participate in that, definitely check out the next show. And that's also going to be the show where we're going to dive into all of the tactics there. So next week we're going to have a very in-depth overview with all of the tactics for the Sydney Hobart, all the different phases in the race. So that's going to be a very, very cool, very, very nerdy, very, very technical episodes. I'm really looking forward to that. And with that, we've come to the end of the show. So thank you all very much for watching. I hope you have an amazing Saturday. Of course, make sure to give the video a thumbs up. Please, if you haven't, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon. And please share the show with anybody you know that you think might have an interest. And if you want to support the channel, of course, go to the website seawolvestv.com also for other updates. And you can also find our support store there with things like hoodies, shirts, caps. We got everything. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun actually this summer. That almost every marina I went into, I met at least somebody with a hoodie or a shirt. So that was a lot of fun to see the support sort of out there in the world. So with that, again, I wish you all a very pleasant Saturday, and we're going to end this episode with actually some onboard footage from the Seawolf real world sailing team, because every Saturday, so later today also, I always sail with kind of my training crew here from Amsterdam. If you want to join, check also the options for that on the Seawolves website. And we had the camera with us last week, so as we go out here is some onboard video from what a training session like that kind of looks like. Okay, have a nice Saturday, guys. Ciao, ciao.
And the wolves have taken to the sea. Got some beautiful wavy weather. Oh, there we go.
Because the name is not Lake Wolves, it's Sea Wolves.
Exactly. Got to having fun on his first sea experience.
Real experience, yeah. Feels good.
You're going a bit too high right now. A bit lower. So in the front sail, yeah, exactly. A bit lower, yeah, that's better. I wouldn't be against that. It's a beautiful ride, especially in this weather. I mean, it's fucking nice.
Up to now,
Huh?
very scary up to now, good.
In 10 minutes you'll be used to it. Like it always feels a bit like shit scary the first 10 minutes and then you like get used to the rhythm. Who doesn't love a good sea sail? We're getting nice and wet.
6-4.
Gata's getting good with the steering wheel.
Hey, hey.
Hey. Max is enjoying the back seat.
Still getting used to it a bit?
Are you feeling now okay?
Better.
Okay, good, good, good. Got a nice little pale of winter sun in the back. Really beautiful sail, near perfect conditions, a bit cold, but we're all in a nice winter gear, so it's all good. Nice waves, about 1.5 meters maybe.
So this is almost the north, right? We're
What?
going north.
Yeah, now we're going more or less north. A little bit northwest, but mostly north. Woo! Now we have the big waves again because we're in front of Almeida, but as we pass that way, we'll also lose that. Now we'll make quite a bit of distance that way, and then we'll have a nice ride fast back with the current. Whoa! Spectacular! You ready to have your self-made beer on the waves later? Woo! Look how wet there! Look at him go! Before the battery goes out, beautiful into the sunset. That's what being in SeaWorld was all about. And we're heading slowly back to base. There's Almeida again. We're doing a nice 8.2 knots. How's the hat, Kata?
Hat is holding good.
Okay, that's it for the battery today. Seawolf's out. See you next week.